All right. Good morning, PT Breakfast Club. Dave's out on a run. Did you get that on
No,
Instagram?
I
He's
didn't see
tagging me
that.
on. He's at mile one of something like a half hour ago. So Dave's
Oh,
probably
wow.
running back. Hurry up, Dave. Or he's the one person watching us live right now. What do you want to kick off with first? I didn't know this about Top Golf. I've been to Top Golf 2 or 3 times. You sent a video to us, and you were giving me the beats a second ago. Top Golf was designed to turn non-golfers into golfers. Feels like a smart idea. Did it work? Spoiler, I wouldn't be bringing up if it did.
So I don't have access to it. If you share the link to that YouTube video,
Yeah.
before we hit go live, Jimmy and I were talking. I said, I listened to this. This is the stuff that I listen to when I'm on a run, when I'm doing anything. It's these like, did you know about business kind of stuff. When Top Golf first started, the original founders, they were totally failing at business. They were running up debt. They were using all of their personal savings. And the problem was they were trying to make Top Golf a way for real golfers to get better at golf. Nobody cared about it. Nobody wanted to do that. Eventually, they did the radio frequency, they gamified it. They eventually pivoted to, hey, maybe we're wasting our time. This reminds me of therapy. We're wasting our time forcing our ideal customer to want what we want them to want instead of serving them what they actually want. And so eventually they pivoted to, okay, this is a sports bar where you can hit golf balls rather than this is a golf training performance center.
Right.
And that's when the idea blew up. All of a sudden, you could take somebody that's never hit a golf ball before. And if you think about it, like, I'm not a golfer. I will golf, but I am not a golfer. The only thing I enjoy about golf is smashing the ball as hard as I can, no matter where it goes. The drinks, the hanging out, like those are the elements, maybe the betting. And so you pull those things out, you package it in an appealing way, and you sell it to the consumer who wants to do that. So like you could take, what used to be a 4-hour event and sell it by the hour. You don't have to get carts. I guess driving the golf cart's a fun part.
That's fun.
So basically, long story short, they were failing until they found the formula that their customer actually wanted. Eventually, it was acquired by Callaway. Problem is, when Callaway bought it, they bought it with the intent that we are going to turn non-golfers into golfers. If we can convert even a fraction of them into actual golfers who are buying equipment, we're going to explode our revenue. It just never happened because those people don't want to be golfers.
Right. It's
I love going to Top Golf. I don't want to go golf.
Is there a parallel here to Savannah Bananas? Because like it's not golf, it's not baseball, but that for Savannah Bananas, they're solving a boredom problem.
Right.
And that's what Top Golf did. But like, how often are you going to do that? Like Savannah Bananas is okay if you come out and see us once or twice a year. Top Golf needs you to come out once a month if they're going to be successful in a community. Or I
think it is. I think the underlying theme here is, what are the best parts? What's the 20%, that generates 80% of the revenue and profitability? What is the true product market fit? And let's just focus on that, So Dave is back. Dave, how was your run?
It was good. I'm still not showered, but you guys come first, then shower and breakfast later.
Smart man.
Well, it's not smell-o-vision, so we're good.
So I had to steal this strategy if you want to kick this off, or wait, we had something else we were going to talk about in the group chat. I always forget.
Well, we were going to talk about Mills, but let's do steal this strategy.
So the steal strategy is a quick one, and it has to do with donuts. I do not live in a place that has Krispy Kreme right now, but someone taught me this weekend when I was traveling that there is a hot now sign. Are you familiar with the Krispy Kreme hot now sign? Tony?
No.
Tony's not. That's
Yes.
good. I wasn't. Dave is. All right. So how do you explain the hot now sign at a Krispy Kreme donut?
So if it's lit up, I think more people potentially pull over because, listen, I'm maybe some family members say I have a sweet tooth. I don't go out of my way to buy sweet stuff, but
Right.
if it's there,
You'll take it.
I'm on the road with my family, visiting South Jersey, and like here, like a lemon icy cake,
Yeah.
So Okay, so the Krispy Kreme sign, if it's lit up, it's like it attracts the way that a bug zapper attracts bugs. It will attract a human that has had Krispy Kreme donuts that are hot, because there is a big difference between when they're hot off the press versus 6 or 12 hours later.
Correct. So it is literally, quite literally, a neon sign that is in the window that is not lit unless they're like donuts are rolling off the line. So they're not making donuts as much as I wanted to believe the Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Time to make the donuts, right? It's quite literally a beacon. And then I believe this is a smart move if you have the app. Yeah, here it is. This is exactly what it looks like. It's hot now, but it's off when they're not making donuts. So you drive by and you're like, hey, bro, hot now. I'm picking up a dozen and coming back to the office. So they're pulling levers of psychology. And they're saying like, why is it? Why does it work? Scarcity. It's better hot. It's hot now, but in 20 minutes it might not be. It quite literally is a Pavlovian trigger. It's the bell that is making your mouth water. FOMO and ritual. It's like, hey, I brought them in for the office. People like us do things like this. This is what we do. When they're hot now, we bring them into the office. And visibility. It makes the invisible visible. So how could healthcare or PT clinics steal this? And I wanted to do something with a rep counter. Imagine you had an analog. We're going to talk about analog and paper in a digital world with AI. But imagine you had a clinic. I got a buddy who has a clinic up the road on a decently busy road, and you had an analog counter, like the flip down counter. You could do a digital too, right? Digital billboards are expensive, but they're not that expensive. Could you have some sort of metric like squats, deadlifts? Could you have a group goal in the community to get to 10,000 squats in a month? And if we do, we'll help buy a new park down the street. So what you're doing is you're removing the black box mentality of there's a PT clinic over there. What happens? PT. You can't use the word in the definition. What's PT? I don't know. Stuff. They do a little of this rubbing and then they make you move and they do bridges. This makes the invisible visible, and I like it. It actually builds curiosity, especially for people driving by. What is going on in there? The best marketing you didn't have to pay for is you're having people do that. So the community challenge would be nice. 10,000 reps this month and we'll donate to a local cause. You're probably going to donate to that cause anyway, but now you're helping people help you earn that thing. And it makes the clinic feel alive. Like, could you have this hot now mentality? PT is happening here outside of the clinic. Bonus points is every time someone does something. YouTube is really great at this. When you hit a milestone, you get an email saying you hit number of views, but they frame it up in a badge for you to share externally, right? Which is so dumb. And even when I know the trick is happening to me, I still fall for it because I'm a big dumb animal. So how could you steal the hot now strategy from Krispy Kreme? My vote is make the invisible visible and put it out there somewhere. I actually like the digital version, right? Like post it on Instagram, but that's done so much. I like the analog thing. Like now bell bottoms are coming back in, kids. In 2 years, bell bottoms will be back in because they were in, then they were out, and then they're back in again. So that's my Stilvis strategy.
I want to hear how Dave can roll that into a mobile kind of business. I know for me, like the easiest thing is always, create a team, whether it's an actual team or a virtual team, but group patients together. Hey, you're purple, you're black, you're blue. We're going to compete against each other. We're going to achieve so many steps, so many reps, so many pounds lifted. I think Strava and a couple other, apps do that kind of gamification. And then just run a monthly competition every 28 days, which team won this month. And if you do discharge a patient, then you fill that spot with another patient. You could even go to like what the NFL does. You could have teams draft new patients. Like imagine you're a new patient coming into a physical therapy clinic. You're scared, you're in pain, you don't have any connection to anybody. And all of a sudden you're up on the draft board and like teams are battling for you. And we want John to be on our team. And, you establish that culture. I think it's such a warm invitation into the community, but I would struggle to see how you do it in a mobile business.
Yeah, I was thinking Tony would maybe not even like it and say jokingly like tallying up units, like billable units. And for us, mobile visits, I guess it's more about visits and maybe less about reps, because you can't group people together. I think the best idea so far from this is already what Tony just said about groups. There's something called The Athletic, I believe. It started in New York City. It was invested by Ann Malum. Ann was the one that sold Solidcore for like $80 million or something. She raised private equity money, and she invested in a company in New York City. It's like group fitness, but it's like if I sign up, I'm with the same people Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. It's the same 6 or 8 or whatever people. And obviously it builds community. And obviously people know, like, if I'm out and I'm not there at the workout class together. So I think the grouping patients together actually would be a great idea. Then you could, maybe you could uh, group people together based off of like conditions or diagnosis or whatever to make sure it's somewhat even or fair or whatever. But I think the group thing, like at Tony's clinic, Tony, do you think it would be, if you were to do this, would it be, groups of 2 or 4 or 6, or like what type of number would that even, like, how would it even make sense
It's a good
based off
question.
of like your volume?
Yeah, it's totally arbitrary, but I would say groups of 4. 4 seems to be a good number. When I look at our patient volume, I look at the actual physical space, like how many people could we fit into the physical space, and these groups form naturally. So we have a non-covered maintenance program, a wellness program, independent exercise, whatever you want to call it. But these little subsets of individuals, we have our Tuesday morning 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. group. They come together, they socialize. Some of them are neighbors. And then we have a different group on Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. We have a third group Tuesday, Thursday afternoon, and a fourth group Monday, Wednesday afternoon. So they naturally kind of congregate and come in together. And once they've started seeing each other for a while, they're like, hey, where's John? Where's Dave? Where's Mary? But it seems to me, just based on my experience, groups of 4, probably ideal. I would do 20, 30-minute sessions. I'd get them out of here. I shared that video with you guys. I don't know if we want to show it, but the one of the features mentioned in that video, besides all the innovation and technology, a 10-minute session. Like, I don't even remember the name of the company, but the girl was like, yeah, in 10 minutes, I get my workout in. People don't need 60 minutes. It depends on what you are selling. Top Golf became more popular than golf because you could do it in less than an hour. You could leave whenever you want. You could hit the balls and go. You don't have to be committed to a 4-hour, 18-hole course.
I played a 6.5-hour round this week because of rain, and it was a charity tournament, so we're backed up a little bit. 6.5 hours. Listen, I like golf. If golf had 12 to 14 holes, I'd be more apt to play. When I hit like 15, I'm like, I turn to my best friend most of the time. I'm like, how many more holes we got? And he's like, he'd play 36. I want to play 9, right? And I think more people are probably like me.
Yeah, but I'll play 9 on an executive. I would rather do 6. 6 holes on a par 3. I'm in heaven. Like, let's go get a drink now and hang out.
There's the tournament we do. It's the PT Breakfast Club Invitational. 6 holes. You cannot start hole 2 until you finish your first beer. So you finish a 6-pack and 6 holes in 49 minutes.
Let's go do it down in Florida at the indoor facility.
What, 6-pack per person in 49 minutes?
A beer a hole. We call it,
but a 6-pack in an hour. That's chugging.
Listen, we called it bad boy golf in college. This wasn't good. All right, I asked a question on Tuesday. This was Hot Take Tuesday, and this is what we wanted to talk about, right? Yeah. And I brought this up before. It sounds like I'm nitpicking, and maybe I am, but that's what I do. I'm a professional nitpicker. Everybody in PT seems to hate mill clinics, but nobody can point to one. All right, you can't actually tell me what it is. When I ask, the numbers are all over the place. Is it the number of locations, the volume of patients, or is it vibe? Is it cookie cutter, right? So is it objective? Is it subjective? Do you only know it when you see it? If so, hey, touch your ear when you're in front of one. Show me one. I don't know what it is. So I was like, okay, let's create a checklist. Is it number of locations, patients seen per hour by one PT, average time spent per session? Everybody's in love, or for a while, I feel like they were in love with the one-on-one for an hour. Is it using texts or aids? Is it plan of care driven more by insurance? Like, what is it? And then how many do you need to check off of a list before you're deemed a mill? Fun fact, I had 2 different people who work for large PT organizations DM me. I'm not going to say who they were. And they were like, thank you for saying this, because that person gets accused at working for a PT mill a lot. And they're like, but you can't tell me what it is. So they agreed with me. Of course, now they're getting called, this spade is getting called a spade, right? I don't know if they're a mill because I can't identify one. When you hear these questions, you guys are sort of opposites, right? Mobile, one-on-one, cash pay, New York City, and then Tony's brick and mortar, Ohio. What is this question, or what does this problem set off for both of you?
Dave, why don't you go off?
I commented on Jimmy's post and I said a physical therapy practice that books and treats 4 patients per hour, I think could be defined as a mill. Now, the funny thing is like Tony always says, is there's a lot of patients across the country that are okay with that experience. They're fine with that. It's the therapists that are not okay with it. It's the therapists that actually have had challenges or issues because it's more documentation, it's more notes. Management is, forcing productivity and having them see 12 or 16 or 18 or 20 or 30 patients a day in some clinics. It depends on obviously the clinic. And Tony is brick and mortar in network, but still very different than a lot of the bigger corporates out there. So my comment was like Jimmy posed, as he usually does, and oftentimes Tony does, like a question, and I was like, here's an answer. Like no one in the comments was giving an actual answer.
No,
That's
they never
my
do.
opinion.
They never
That's
do.
my opinion on an answer. All the other things are kind of like, symptoms of the thing. But the thing is, obviously, it's like a productivity measure coming down from corporate or the ownership, because reimbursement has plateaued or in some cases decreased from the last 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever years. And so a really simple thing is like, how is the schedule developed? When my first job out of school, it was a physician-owned practice, but a great mentor, physical therapist that brought me in there. And it was 3 patients booked and typically arrived and treated, obviously 10% cancel, no show or whatever. But the schedule was 3 patients an hour. But there was an aide, and at times it was busy. And now more and more therapists coming out of school do not want to work in that model. And so therefore that model has been, I don't know, poked at. It's been a part of the focus of the profession with therapists, whether it's Facebook groups, it's LinkedIn, whatever. So that's my thought is like, and now just because if Tony's practice or some other practice does book and treat 4 patients per hour per therapist, per PT or PTA, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing when all the patients are just getting the same exercise, or they're all getting billed 4 units, but they're all being treated like simultaneously, and it's not one-on-one, and obviously that would be fraudulent. So I think 4 patients an hour booked and treated would be a mill, but I'm saying a mill is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I love it. I agree. Like a mill is not necessarily a bad thing. We all want to complain about how expensive healthcare is.
Yep.
Yet once we develop an effective system to deliver an outcome for lower cost, everybody freaks out. It's one of those deals where it's like, all right, let's dig deeper. Let's go behind the question. What does this really mean? I've never heard a patient come in and say, oh, that place is a therapy mill. They don't know. They don't care. I've shared this story. I took a picture 2 days ago inside my clinic. So I took a picture because I was teaching my Medicare billing course. And I was like, look, guys, this is a scene inside my clinic this morning. I had a mother-son, both patients. I had a husband and wife, both independent exercisers that had been patients, now transitioned to a wellness program. And I had a third patient. So 5 people, 1 therapist. We had an amazing time. Everybody was happy. Everyone was having fun. Like everybody was getting better. And I would tell you that nobody felt ignored. Nobody felt like this is the real problem. Patients complain not about too many people. They complain about feeling ignored. They complain about the therapist in the computer and not focused on, making me feel paid attention to. Listen to their jokes, laugh at them, listen to their stories, connect people to each other. Nobody feels like they're getting a bad experience. And so back to, you bill appropriately, like Dave said. There are, CPT codes, there's one-on-one services, there's this stuff. But if you can check those boxes, you can make a person in a group feel just as special as a person in an individual setting. And I would say there's probably more advantage to that group. So to Jimmy's question, you know, what is a mill? First, who cares? Why does it matter? Second, if you're delivering a negative experience, guess what? Those patients will leave. Those patients won't come back. I can't even tell you how many people come in my door every single week saying they tried to send me to a hospital. They tried to send me to NovaCare. And I said, no, I want to go to Total Therapy. I want to go see Tony and Jeremy, you know, and we're just as busy, probably more busy than everybody else, because we will let 6 people at a time come in with 2 clinicians, but the patients love it.
Here's the kicker that I had also written, which
So
is, go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead. I'll swing back.
The kicker is, if you run a clinic and pride yourself on being the opposite of a mill, shouldn't you actually appreciate that it exists? Without them, who are you the opposite of, right? But to Tony's point, I worked with someone who all they wanted to do is post about we're not a mill. And I was like, but you're talking to patients. That isn't a problem that they have. Now, that might be something for recruitment or retention. Hey, we're the opposite of this, right? But just be the thing that you are, and people will either love it and stay or hate it and leave. But don't change for that. If this is how you want to operate that way. You got to like it first.
All right, I get the pushback on both of what you just said, because there are people that call us. Now, this is in the New York City area, but I'm assuming it's similar in most cities or metros. There are people that call us and they will specifically say, or sometimes we have to ask, like, oh, like, you had back pain. Like, is this the first time you had it? Like, oh, you've had it on and off for 10 years. What else have you done for it? Like, what other providers, procedures, what have you done? And if they say physical therapy, so you had physical therapy, like, why aren't you calling them? Like, I'm curious as to why you're not going back to where you were before or whatever. So some people will either directly or indirectly call us and say, I'm not going to that outpatient office, and they'll mention names. And sometimes they don't want to mention names because they don't want to, you know, bash people or whatever, but they will say, I'm not going back to that office because it was busy. It was a frenzy. They don't always say the word mill. A factory, patients, the layman term is factory. They'll say there were too many patients. I want more attention. They weren't giving me enough attention or treatment or whatever. And they were treating 3 or 4 or more patients per hour at the same time as me. So I'm pushing back on both of you, because there are at least folks that have had physical therapy elsewhere that then go on Google or Yelp or whatever. They find us online, or they ask their physician, and then want the one-on-one experience. So there are some folks that have had that and look elsewhere. And if you're not hearing that, Tony, it's because maybe they, like, the folks that wanted the one-on-one care, they're looking at your offering first, and you're not going to hear those calls the way I'm hearing them, in my opinion.
I agree. Confirmation bias, like, absolutely, no doubt. You're going to get the people that want the one-on-one attention, just like the manual therapy. You know, again, you're going to get the people that want manual. They want hands-on. I might get the people who don't care about it, don't even know about it. And that's the whole idea behind find the gap in the market and go fill that gap. You know, when I was doing a lot of rehab for patients that had fibromyalgia and other chronic conditions, yeah, we tended to do more one-on-one private, you know, office, like go in the exam room. Today, I haven't been in an exam room for like 10 years. It's just understand the audience you're serving and double down.
You have motorcycles in your exam rooms.
That's right.
Makes complete sense.
One
Water finds its
motorcycle.
level. Water finds its level. Like, people
Right.
will like and dislike, and that's good. I think that's good. It's choice. Right?
And the choice is what, you know, we should, I don't want to get political, choice is what we should be protecting in this example. Like, if you don't want to do what I do, awesome, don't freaking do it. I don't care. That's less competition for me, but let me do what I think is best. Let me deliver a 10-minute visit. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm curious to hear your perspective. Let me take a new patient phone call and convert them into a telehealth visit while they're on the phone to make that a billable event. So I'm not giving away that time anymore. And the people who don't want to do telehealth, don't do it. It's good. Like, who cares? But if I can offer a quick solution to somebody who's suffering right now and never be in person with them, I think I have the right to do that.
Agreed.
Did you guys see that post? What are your thoughts on that post?
I didn't see the post. I want to talk more about it. Like, are there any other practices that do this, Tony? That, I mean, corporates,
To
I feel like
my
they should be,
knowledge, so let
they
me
should be
break it
doing it.
down.
Why wouldn't they do that?
Let me break it down kind of like I did, and then you guys can tell me what you think. So the whole idea is Medicare continues to pay for telehealth through the end of September 2025. Unless the laws change and extend, we lose that ability end of September 2025. When a new patient calls my clinic, and the comparison I made in the video, as I said, look, imagine you've got a toothache, you call the dental practice, you're like, my tooth is killing me. Oh yeah, that's a different version of the same thing, but my tooth is killing me. The dentist can't get you in for 72 hours, but the person on the phone says, Tony, just hang on. If you want me to get Dr. Dave, the dentist, on the phone, switch to a video call. He can take a look at your situation and give you some recommendations for temporary relief.
You'd take
Now, I was talking to Michael Derry last night. Michael wrote a book. He's working on getting it published about sciatica. I think Dave Kittle, you're probably in this world. There's probably things you can do for somebody suffering from sciatica who went to the emergency room, nothing they could do to help them, got them discharged with muscle relaxers and pain meds. And if they got on a video call with you, even if it wasn't as good as seeing you in person, they couldn't get your magic fingers, you could probably give them 2 or 3 things to do to manage the symptoms. So
Absolutely.
with Medicare guidelines the way it is, like absolutely right now, we could go from a voice call to book an appointment, send them a link, because most people are calling from a cell phone anyway. Send them a link, switch them to a video and audio live chat or live call, which is on a HIPAA compliant platform. And now that becomes a billable evaluation. And when you look at the Medicare guidelines, CMS Chapter 15, Section 220, it says very, very clearly, all you need is a diagnosis, sciatica, shoulder pain, whatever, and a functional assessment. John, can you bend over and put on a sock? No. Okay, my functional assessment is done. Now let me give you something to help the sciatic pain right now, and then I'll be at your house tomorrow, in a couple of days, whatever you need to do. You know, like this, nobody is doing it. Nobody is considering it. Nobody is talking about it. I've shared this idea for a long time. I don't do it, disclosure, just because I'm too busy. But there are a lot of practice owners, new startups, small independents that are not too busy who could be doing this right now. Thoughts?
Dave probably hates it because it has to do with a Zoom call.
I think he loves it because he can use his knowledge.
We did this, or I did this during COVID for folks that were like too far away outside of the New York City area.
Jimmy, what do you think?
Dave, you're cutting out a little bit. The audio's cutting out. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we did it, but we would charge like at that time $250 up front, so they would have to have already paid $250.
Yeah, and that's reasonable. I mean, it's an emergency situation. I need help right now. If Medicare didn't cover it, it would be a self-pay service.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, this is increasing to access, and the audience is going to decide. The water is going to find its level. If people hate this idea, your phone will stay silent. If they like this idea, it'll ring, or somewhere in the middle, right? Is this going to be only, right? The quote I used just the other day, only a Sith deals in absolutes. That's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know you're Star Wars fans. So I don't think it's an always or a never. I think it's when it fits. It's really, really great.
And then the next layer to this is imagine the rapport, imagine the relationship, the trust that is built right then and there, because this person has a real problem with real urgency. And you're like, hey, I realize I can't make it, get you in person right now, but I can help you a little bit. I can help you for now. And then when I'm in person with you, then we can take care of this permanently. Like that's a patient for life. That is somebody that is going to be so like deeply indebted to you because nobody else is even considering this. But this is an idea that can go out to any service professional. Plumbers. Hey, I got a leaky sink. Well, it's not an emergency. I can't get out there for a week.
Sure.
Switch over to a video call. Show me the sink. I'll tell you what you can do at home on your own to at least temporarily fix the problem. And then when I come out there, I'll fix it permanently. Like my car is, you know, making this weird noise. Well, let's switch over to a video call. Let me see what's going on. Let me hear it. Let me look at it. Okay, try this, and this. I'll get you in next week. Like, everybody should be doing this across all services.
Computers will create a paperless world. I heard that in second grade when I first was brought into computer class in second grade, and we sat in front of a bunch of like Macs. And yet we're going to crack up because Tony just got a call from a local doctor's office right across the street, a hospital-owned primary care physician group, and he asked for paper referral pads. What did I miss in the story?
So real quick, backstory, you know, I've always done paper referral pads. I've done group referral pads. So like, I'll get all the physical therapy providers within a geographic area, put them on my referral pads at my expense, send them to the doc office. I've done lots of different kind of things like this. And I really started to feel like, all right, it's probably, you know, run its course. Nobody cares about this anymore. A couple years ago, I quit sending the pads out. And so yesterday I'm sitting here at lunch, the phone rings. I know it's the doc group next door. And I'm like, I don't want to answer that. Either they're requesting medical records or they want to schedule an appointment, and I don't want more patients. So I let it ring. It went to voicemail, but they didn't leave a message. 5 minutes later, rings again. I'm like, all right, I got to be a big boy, put on my big boy pants. I answer the phone and they're like, hey, can you send us over more referral pads? We've got patients, and we ran out. I was like, oh, okay. I send my son, who's doing a summer internship with us, across the street. He drops them off. The point in that story, though, is these guys are all hospital-owned physicians. They're great physicians. I've known them for years. They are pressured to send to the hospital outpatient clinic. There's zero doubt. But they still need their patients to be seen. The hospital outpatient is full. They give the patient the internal EMR, the Epic EMR referral, but they also wanted the referral that has our address and our information and the other stuff on it. So we sent over a handful of pads. It reminded me that this is still a thing. And now I'll go and I'll start sending them out to all the other docs in the area. Dave had a comment.
Dave, you're grinning.
No, Jimmy, you shared the screenshot with my comment that I had messaged you guys yesterday. I screenshotted that. I was going to post it publicly, but the comment under Tony's post, I didn't post it, but it had said something like, you know, in healthcare, paper referral pads and fax machines are still used, but Tony Maritato thinks artificial intelligence is taking over. Think again. And I believe it. I believe that. I know Tony has a lot of faith and enthusiasm for artificial intelligence, but we don't. I mean, our practice, we don't have a fax machine. We have referrals, and people call up, or, you know, nurses or whoever, and they're like, "What's your fax number?" I used to say, "Our fax is down. Can you email it?" Now I just say, "Can you just email it?" So we don't. We have opted out of the fax machine. I've never had a fax line, even though you can have one for $5 a month and have like a whatever over Wi-Fi. You can have a fax line, and I'm just like, I just don't do it. Right? It's so funny. Like, Tony's handing out paper referral pads that are still being requested. He may or may not have a fax machine, but he thinks artificial intelligence is taking over.
So
it's just
here's the
comical.
thing with
It's
that.
very
Like,
ironic.
the thing with that is AI is replacing the stuff that we thought would never be replaced, but it's not replacing the stuff. Like, you hear the people say, I don't need AI to do this. I need AI to vacuum my carpet. Like,
Right.
You're right. I will be replaced because my perception of value in the physical therapy world is my brain's ability to process dynamic information, right? Dave comes in. Dave's like, I play recreational baseball. My shoulder's been bugging me. Oh, I also got a COVID injection a couple, whatever years ago. And ever since then, my shoulder's never been the same. Making the connection between the chemistry and all the other stuff, Dave came in thinking it was something related to mechanical pathology. I think it's more chemical pathology. I thought that was safe. That's gone. Like, that is what AI is going to replace. What AI is not going to replace is the human who rubs Dave's shoulder while Dave tells him jokes and he laughs at those jokes. Like, those are the things. So the fax machine, it's 1987 technology. You're right. AI is not replacing that. Like, there's still people on old systems that are using old technology. We're one of them. I have a fax machine in every office. I have a fax machine at home. I get faxes every single day. But what AI is replacing is the stuff that we thought was irreplaceable. Our intelligence, our analytical sense, our ability to put pieces of a puzzle together. That's gone.
Yeah, I think it's the simple, tangible things that people like a reminder. How many times I take a business card. I actually still do. I do snap a picture of it, but I stick the card in my pocket because I know it's solving a forgetting problem or a losing it problem, right? I can store anything I want in Google Drive, and I do, and then I can't find it. If you guys ever use Notion,
I haven't. No.
Notion's essentially a little world you can create, like an internal wiki. And companies I've worked for, of like, that's over here, how to do that. A lot of SOPs, a lot of like internal data. And I, use the phrase, and I don't know, probably not the first person to use it. I'm like, it's in Notion. The answer kept being, it's in Notion. Hey, does anyone know how to do this? It's in Notion. I'm like, yeah, but Notion's an ocean. Like, I know it's in there, and I'm here for you. Can you tell me how to do it? Or can you point to where that thing is? Because I looked there already, and I can't find it because it's in a sea of everything. So when everything's important, nothing's important. And it's just a pendulum. But I think you're right. It's the repetitive tasks. It's the things that should be done. Seth Godin said this 10 years ago. I'll go ask AI when the actual blog post was from Seth Godin when he said this. And it's something stunningly, stupidly simple. When you're buying something from an online retailer and I'm putting in my address to either have the product shipped to me or for my credit card information verification, I type in two pieces of information. And his question is why? I type in my zip code and then my state. You know what state I live in based on the zip code. That's how zip codes work. But no, I've been across very few websites in the last 25 years of buying stuff online that actually just ask for the zip code and will auto-fill the state. And now, since I read that from Godin 10 years ago, every time I do it, I get a little bit more pissed off because someone hasn't taken that experience. Now, the paper referral pad to me is just a physical embodiment of that. That's a psychological nudge, right? You're probably going to lose that or throw it away, or maybe you do actually tack it up on the refrigerator. But I think it's a yes and, right? Is AI going to take over everything? No. Hopefully it's the repetitive tasks or filling in what state I live in after I tell you what zip code I live at.
So that goes back to one of the things that when I started my business back in 2001, I said, I am never going to do this. I am never going to give a patient a packet of new patient paperwork. I'm never going to give the patient a health questionnaire that they have to answer questions on and fill all this stuff out. One of the things that I do when I'm teaching my Medicare course is I go to random PT websites and I show their admission paperwork. And I'm like, why are we even asking these questions? Like, these questions have no relevance, or I can get all of this information if I get this one piece. Give me your Medicare subscriber ID, your name and your date of birth. I'll get your address. I'll get your phone. I'll get all of these other things. And we don't do that because we're so used to, oh, well, you fill out the paperwork. You answer how many times I'm asking you guys in real world, if you see a patient and you're like, do you have hypertension? No. Do you have diabetes? No. What medications are you taking? Well, I take lisinopril and metformin. And well, wait a minute. You just said you don't have those. Well, no, I don't have those conditions because I'm taking those drugs, right? To ask a patient to answer healthcare questions on a piece of paper makes no sense to me. They're not equipped to answer those questions. And you're going to have those conversations anyway. And so that's what made me rethink my whole patient experience. I'm like, look, this person pulled into the parking lot. I saw them get out of the car. Do I really have to sit here and go into an exam room? I watched them get out of the car, close the car door. I saw if they have an assistive device. I saw them come in my clinic, like they're standing at the front desk. My evaluation is finished. Let's go start making you feel better. That's what I want to work on. But I don't think we either we don't teach these skills, or we don't tell therapists like, hey, your evaluation starts at that first moment of contact.
Agreed.
We do it at the airport. We watch people walk. We watch people move. We analyze all of their stuff, right?
The question is, well, I think the question is, how does this change? So how does that change? How does that model change? If this is the way it's always been, and these are the things that are always required. I mean, Craig's pointing out HIPAA makes fax or eFax necessary for plan of cares when clients use insurance. Like, so is it chicken or the egg? Like, how does this thing actually change? Is it not doing it? Is it, is it the same? Is it the same question of like, how do PTs get paid more? Well, we all have to opt out at the same time, and then we'll show them demand. And my response whenever I see that is, have you tried to get 8 people to go to dinner on time and agree on a restaurant? You're going to get 100,000 physical therapists to do all something that's threatening their livelihood at the same time. I mean, that's never going to happen. So the question is, how does this ever actually progress, or does it?
I think someone like Dave, Dave starts laying the groundwork. I'm shocked. I am that Dave doesn't have any kind of fax system, not even an eFax system. But it's either going to take somebody on the provider side or somebody on the consumer side who's going to be like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. Why am I still filling out all of these forms when you have all of that information at your disposal?
I think it'll only change when the people that are asking for it, so insurance companies, right, when they actually think it's either better or cheaper or more in their interest to not require it. But for them, it doesn't add anything. Like for me, like the more documentation a PT fills out or a healthcare provider fills out, the more opportunity there is to deny something. Like you're giving them ammunition. Like the line in radio that I was taught was, hand them enough microphone cable and someone will hang themselves with it. Let them talk. They will talk themselves into a box.
I want to go to Dave and the guy he was talking about. But last thing, closing thought on that topic. I literally tell therapists, I'm like, look, you've got a CMS 1500 claim form. You've got all of these forms or all of these fields. Leave them blank. Do not put something in a field that isn't absolutely required. And when you're doing an evaluation, guess what? More information doesn't help justification. Do not give them anything that isn't absolutely required. Because to Jimmy's point, like all that is increased justification to say, well, wait a minute, you said this, if this is related to that and that ties into that, and then the other part comes in, that's not a covered benefit. You give them the bare minimum to get the job done. So I know Dave's not getting a good connection. Galloway.
Yeah, I've seen this guy. I don't even know his backstory. Like he showed up on my algorithm probably because 10 people that I follow watch him, but he's got some unique thoughts. And you said you agree with 50% of what he says and disagree staunchly with 50% of what he says. So what is it that you disagree with?
Let's put that on hold because Dave was the one that brought it up first, right?
Right.
Yeah, I want to hear what Dave has to say. I mean, effectively, he's got $100+ million. He has the freedom to talk about certain things and choose a certain path. And I'd be curious to see what Dave says. If Dave doesn't come back, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to go the rundown because he did share a thread. And this was so it wasn't just about like who this guy is and do we agree with him. I was sort of trying to buy time there for Dave to get back on the Wi-Fi in the diner that he's at on vacation. But in this thread, Scott Galloway is talking about the war on young people. And Dave in the group chat was saying, hey, maybe it's not a business model or PT making less. His view here was it's everybody. So since 1974, the median labor income is up 40%, but the S&P 500 is up 4,000%. So essentially he's saying the contract was work hard, go to school, grind, play by the rules. And of course you'll do better than your parents because that's the way it was for a couple of generations. But today's youth or today's worker makes less than their parents did at the same age, even with a college degree. So deeper in debt and lower income. So we got bamboozled. So he's essentially saying that it's not a resource problem, it's a values problem. We have to fix it, but all these things that he lists is not a me fixing it for myself problem. Expanded public college access, reforming tax code to reward labor, loosening zoning to lower housing costs. Like all these things are things that a municipality or a government would need to do. Because right now, in 83, 60% of 30-year-olds had one child. Today it's 27. So like we've halved. And this is not a we're sterile problem or people don't enjoy sex. This is, we understand math and we're saying, do I want to be child poor? Like, do I want to be able to really take care of one kid or sort of okay take care of, 2 or 3? Housing prices have 3x since 1963. Student debt is over $1.3 trillion. And depression, self-harm, and loneliness. So we're poorer, we're more unhappy, and we're more in debt than the people before us. And I think over the last couple of years, they've charted the average life expectancy has actually gone down, even though we're smarter. Why is this happening? And depending on who you talk to, they'll list the reasons why it is. But they're saying, look, who benefits from this? Well, older Americans, people 70 and up, got rich, but then closed the door behind them to secure themselves. So those are the people that were in power. So over 70s now hold 30% of U.S. household wealth. That's up from 19% in 1989. That is a big, big difference. The example here is Harvard's endowment has grown 500% since 80, but their freshman class hasn't changed. So they've gotten richer, but they're not helping more people. I would push back on the Harvard thing. They sort of like research a bunch of things that they sort of give away to the world and cure different things or figure things out. So essentially he was, Dave's reason for pointing this out with Galloway was, is it a we doing it wrong problem, or is the system sort of stacked against us? And PT and healthcare is not immune from all of this in every industry, no matter what you are.
And so my issue with all of that is that is a very victim mentality. That is hey, it makes you feel good because you're failing, and I'm going to give you all the reasons why you're failing, and you're going to blame all the successful people for your insecurities and your failures. That doesn't help anyone. That doesn't help anything. I'm sure every generation can make the same argument in some capacity for that. Like, the reality is there are successful young people in this world. Just because more are not successful doesn't mean that the system is stacked against them. And if you're going to cherry pick a whole bunch of stats on one side, let's cherry pick a whole bunch of stats on the other side. Right. And so this is the fundamental problem that I have with his general content. I like him. I like his ideas. I've watched him on My First Million podcast and a bunch of other shows. I just try to balance the propaganda,
sure,
with what the value that he might be able to deliver to some people. He's kind of crossed the tipping point for me. I don't even click on the interviews anymore because it's just too far down that victimhood mentality.
I do like identifying a problem. Like, hey, listen, there are some things out there that are set up where if you try to fight against it, you're going to lose. So don't fight that. Like, figure it out somewhere else, right? Like, I did the math a few months ago that said I was paying off my student loans at a pretty good clip, well above average. And I did the math and said, if I paid $72,000 off at the interest rate I had, I was going to pay $250,000 over 10 years. $250,000, $180,000 in interest on $70,000. So I did the math that I'd rather be poor for 2 years and not go on vacations for the next 2 years. Jimmy in 20 years is going to appreciate that. Like, that wasn't the way, 2 generations ago, right? People talked all the time about working a summer job to pay off college. Well, I could just get pissed off that college is expensive, but I signed into that. So I decided to be poor now and worked extra now. And I didn't, and I'm not going to, it's not the give up the latte a day, whatever. It was, no. It was bite very, very hard on your bank account and understand that you want to make sure you're secure. I understand what he's saying here, but I agree. And, sort of both sides understand how the game works. The game is get people riled up. If they're riled up, they love or hate you. And both of those things are good for business if you're in the attention business.
Yeah. And I've played the game the other way. I've put out posts where I'm like, I understand everybody. I just watched a little video clip where they were showing like a McDonald's commercial, and you get 2 Big Macs and drinks and fries for $2.58. Now it's $25.68, But on the flip side, I was also the person who spent $7,000 on 100,000 words of content in 2023 that I can now get for $20. You know, like there have been some, yes, my house today is worth double what it was when I bought it in 2006. That's horrible if I want to buy a house today.
Right.
But on the flip side, there is access to AI and other technology that now I can run a clinic just as profitably with 3 people that I used to have to hire 10 people for. You know, so there's always going to be opportunities, and we see it all the time. We see young people that are doing things, generating millions of dollars, that are no smarter than anyone watching this show right now. They just chose a different path. So we can acknowledge the golden handcuffs. We can say, look, I spent a lot of money on my college degree. I know that I've got these responsibilities, but if finance is important to me, financial security, financial independence, then maybe I'm going to go where the money is. And then I can come back to the thing that I'm passionate about. Like, we all have to clean a toilet at some point. Nobody loves cleaning a toilet, but it's just something that needs to get done. So go do that and then come back to the thing that you love.
You had a post the other day about love. And the way to get work-life balance is to work on something you don't care that much about. And that pissed people off. Tell me why you wrote it. And I sort of agree with you.
Yeah. Like, I mean, how all this fantasy about like, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Total BS. Like the best professional athletes spend the majority of their time doing things they hate just so they have a fraction of the time doing something that they love. But, you know, if I don't want that emotion to control my existence, like the highs and the lows, if I want to cut some of those peaks and troughs, you do something you're good at, but maybe not something you're crazy passionate about. Like I'm good at this, whatever, accounting. I've got a mind for organization. I don't love accounting, but I can do it. I can do it well. I can make a great living at it. So I spend my time making my money in accounting, but then on the side, I have my passion. I always say cooking. I love cooking. I cook every day. I cook 3 meals a day. I'll cook 6 meals a day. I would never want to open a restaurant because I will immediately hate cooking when my mortgage and my livelihood is tied to cooking. And I'm not cooking because I love cooking anymore, but I'm cooking to make money. That is the worst thing to possibly do. Right. So if you love helping people, maybe helping people for money is not the thing you should do, you know, and go do something else to fill the bank account.
I told this story before. When I was in college, I was like, you know what's cool? Bars are cool. I want to own a bar. And my Uncle Frank owned a bar. And I don't know if it was brilliance, genius, or just sheer accident that he said, well, hey, summer between junior and senior year, I was interning at K-Rock where Howard Stern was an intern, because I was also like, maybe radio. And I did both for a summer. At the end of the summer, I mean, I had a ton of fun doing both jobs. But at the end of the summer, Uncle Frank came to me and goes, so what are the thoughts on owning a bar? And I said, I want to go to bars. I think I want to go to bars. I want to hang out at bars for a little while and then go do other stuff. And that's what I wanted my outlet to be. Even though, I mean, at the time, it was a pretty lucrative job to just be a bartender. It's a cash business. Cash was right in front of you. By the end of the night, you got paid every night on time. And even though I was like, 20 years old, knowing I don't want to be doing this when I'm 41, and to get what out of it, what I would need, I'd have to put so much into it, I wouldn't get enough out of it. I said, not my thing. So I went and did another thing.
Did I ever tell you about my mom's nightclub?
No, your mom at a nightclub?
Yeah. So this would be an interesting story for everyone. I've had such a random existence throughout my life. There was a phase. So my mom came from South America. She was the first in her family. She immigrated to the US. She got a job in Queens, New York, and then kind of grew and bought real estate. And this was a teenager coming, didn't even speak the language. So this was kind of her by nature. She always loved business, was always an entrepreneur. Her dream had always been to own a Spanish nightclub. And so once she had kind of gotten out of the fashion industry and what she was doing for most of her life, she bought a restaurant down in Bradenton, Florida. It was a huge building. They converted it from full-time restaurant with a full liquor license into a Latin nightclub. And she tried to do what she thought everybody did. You're open 7 days a week and you do all these things. And she was like, no, that's not working. She got rid of everything. She went to only one night a week. She could fit about 600 occupancy, 600 people in the building. She charged a $20 cover so that she had kind of a higher level clientele, but no glasses, no bottled beer. It was only canned beer. You only had 3 choices. It was like Corona, Bud Light, and something else. All mixed drinks came in plastic cups, so nobody got into fights and people weren't getting, cut with glass.
Sure.
She hired a couple local police and had a security team. And I mean, it was just printing cash. I remember growing up as a kid, she'd be like, hey, can you get me something out of the closet? I'd go in and it'd be a stack of $5,000 in 20s just because she had so much cash everywhere. I learned so many lessons through that. I became a bartender and I would serve drinks and all of these different things. But I just think, like you said, you've got this idea of what you think you want, and then you get into it and then you're like, oh, that's not actually what I want. Patient comes in, I've got shoulder pain, I want to throw the football. Okay, let's start lifting weights. No, I don't want to do that. There's a disconnect between what we think we want and what we actually want. I think I want to throw a football. I actually just want my shoulder to stop hurting.
Right.
I don't care. I'm happy with the dream.
Right. Yeah. People want the result, but not the process to get the result. And I'm very sorry. That's what makes it unachievable, which is funny too, because of now, like the whole Ozempic and those things are coming out. And there was, do you know Cory Doctorow? He writes like he wrote for like the website, or still does, for Boing Boing. Essentially, he's just like this tech guy. And I started reading some of his stuff 10 to 15 years ago, being like, this is cool. This is sci-fi. And then slowly, after I stopped reading his books, the stuff that he was talking about started happening. Like, he was the first person I ever read a fiction book about 3D printing before I ever heard any article on 3D printing. And he talked about 3D printing and what would happen 10 years. What will that do to the economy? What will that do to value? Where does value shift? If I can just steal a plan from an object that you took years to figure out how to make and ingenuity to make, and I can just download it and then print it myself. I don't need you anymore. In parallel, he was talking about biohacking and talking about one of the characters was a genius, but always obese and overweight. But he started doing this biohacking thing. And of course, now he became this version, a good looking guy in shape, but didn't have to do any of the stuff. He in turn had to ingest like 6,000 calories a day or something to keep up with it. It was an increased metabolism drug, essentially. But what that did to his life in the later years was not good. And I'm looking at this saying, these people, same parallel, they want the result, but aren't doing the work. But they're like, well, I can get a pill or I can get a shot and I'll get that. Yes, we talk about my right. I have the right to be in shape, but not the responsibilities. And this is political, or this is just math. Yes, you get rights. What people forget to talk about is the responsibility that you are actually that you owe to that, whether that be political and government or biology. Yes, I'm injecting something and it's going to make me lose weight. What else are you responsible for that it's also going to be doing? I think people rush in for those rights, the outcomes, and they don't stick around too long for those responsibilities. Or when the bill comes, when the check comes due, they don't want to pay it, of course. All right, so Dave's somewhere in a diner in South Jersey. You want to do parting shots?
Yeah, let's do it. So Larry Benz, I just saw his article. He's talking about Ozempic and how, what the role physical therapists are going to play in that whole weight loss Ozempic world. If you're not, my parting shot is, if you guys aren't out there, like seeing what the thought leaders are talking about inside and outside the profession. I was on an interview yesterday with Neil Trickett from Practice Promotions, and we talked about, who do I follow? Who do I look at? I don't look at anybody within the field. They're great. I want new ideas, fresh ideas, different concepts. So I go outside the profession of physical therapy. I look at other business models and I reflect on that. And I think about how we can bring those concepts into what we're doing to deliver a better patient care experience. So don't be afraid to go outside of PT.
I would yes and that, which is don't be afraid to do it. I'm going to say you have to. If you're just photocopying what everybody else is doing. I remember being in radio 15 years ago, and when I got to run my first radio station, there are all these industry conferences and stuff like that. And I remember my boss, the general manager, would be like, do you want to go to this? Do you want to go to this? And I got to be like, I was like, no, I'm figuring it out here. I'm watching commercials and figuring out what huge corporations are doing. And then I'm stealing that idea, or how can I, or even just understanding it. Even I didn't steal everything that I saw because it wouldn't fit. Not because I was too proud to steal something, right? I got a lesson early in my radio career. And it doesn't matter that it was a radio lesson, which is good artists borrow, great artists steal. Like the thing that you're thinking about stealing, but you don't want to, they stole it from someone else. They stole it from someone else in a different industry. Staying within healthcare or PT you will not find those ideas unless you're stealing from somebody who's already stolen from outside. And that's stealing from outside by proxy. We're back on Tuesday. Dave will be probably off vacation somewhere, not on the Jersey Shore. Take a listen and a subscribe to everything. What do you got going on this weekend, Tony? Anything good?
Oh man, kids are getting into sports, already. Like the next year hasn't even started, and we've got basketball, we've got baseball, we've got some football starting. What about you?
Father's Day, hanging out with dad, steaks.
This is true.
Probably that pool. It's going to be some good weather finally in the first time. I think there were 31 weekends in a row with some precipitation in New York State. So fingers crossed we get a Father's Day weekend without some rain. We'll see you guys here back next week. Thanks for spending time with us. We appreciate it.
All right, we'll see ya.